Mr. Chairman.
Honi Harawira.
Mr. Chairman, when this bill came up for first reading, as soon as I read it, I knew exactly what it was going to mean. I didn't understand all of the substantive this, substantive that, but I knew it was going to be this kind of a bill, and it scared the hell out of me. And it scared me because I've been a defendant in many, many cases. Many, many cases. And I knew, just like I knew that I would have ended up in jail on quite a few of those cases if it had to have been done by video link. And the reason why, Mr. Chairman, is because people find it easier to send somebody to jail if they don't have to face them. Just like kids find it easier to shoot somebody on a video. You put a gun in their hands and they freak out. But when they can do it by video, they will do it. You see kids use video to rape people, to maim people, to kill people. Because video takes away your connection to what has been done. Takes away your connection to the decision that you have to make. That scared the heck out of me. So it's the reason why we spoke against it at the very first reading. Because we know exactly what it's going to mean. I'll use as another example, nothing to do with courts, but I'll use as another example, Mr. Chairman, my comments last year about the white MFs. Now, hundreds of people felt really, really comfortable writing to the newspapers, writing to the Race Relations Conciliator, slagging me off on television, on the radio and everywhere else. But you know what, Mr. Chairman? I flew all around the country. I went all over the place in those couple of months. And not one person, not one, came up to me face to face to say, I didn't like what you did. And you know why? Because people find it easier to push the button another way. They find it easier to vent their anger against something that they don't have to connect with. They find it easier to dispense of people if they can do it by video. And there is no justice, none whatsoever, in a defendant being stuck down in a jail. There's no connection between that person and what's going on in the courtroom. Somebody mentioned about how you can't nudge your lawyer and say, hey, hang on, that's a bloody lie. Different from me, of course. I've never ever had a lawyer. Defended myself on all of those cases. And how does that happen? If I'm defending, I'm not a lawyer, but I've always defended myself. If I'm being held in, I'm a bloody good bush lawyer. I've only ever lost one case. That's better than every lawyer I know. So for all of you lawyers, don't go patting yourselves on the back that you do a good job, because basically you don't. I defend myself, Mr. Chairman, because I've been to court so many times where I've seen lawyers stand up after doing a really poor job and their clients go to jail, and they get up and the first thing they say is, as it please your honour. And I sat there as a young fellow, as a 19-year-old, watching this going on in courts when I was working for Ngā Tamatoa, being a friend in court, and I thought to myself, hell, I ain't ever going to let nobody get me sent to jail and get up and say, as it please your honour. So I taught myself to defend myself in court. But what happens to me? Are they going to hold me in custody like they have in the past? Do I get a chance to actually argue my case? Or would I have to do that from down in the separation wing at Mount Eden Prison? How does that happen? This is scary stuff, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Minister, and all of the people over here on national side and ACT as well. This isn't just about efficiency. This is a scary step down a slippery slope that we will not quickly come back from. We may never come back from this, Mr. Chairman. That's why I'm so scared about this. I can fight things, but this is scary. Once we disconnect ourselves from the defendants, we disconnect society from justice. We walk away from the rights that the defendant has to be in there. This bill is all about the rights of the state and the rights of the victim, and fine, they all got rights, but so do defendants, because you're not actually guilty until you've been convicted. But in this case, you don't even get the chance to defend yourself, because you're locked away in a little television screen. And yes, they could say it might be at the whim of the judge, but why should a judge bother going through the hassle, Mr. Chairman, why should a judge go through the hassle of having somebody called up from Limutaka to get all the way up to Auckland for a call-over date, which may end up being turned into a court case because the police say at the last minute that they're ready to go, when they can just do it by video. And as soon as they know they can do it by video, everything becomes video. And once we get there, we get into that push-button kind of justice, where kids can kill somebody because it's by video. Where people who are too scared to face those that they have to supposedly dispense justice upon are quite happy to shut them off and wipe them out because they're locked away in a little TV box. That person becomes like an ad that you don't want to watch anymore. And you can just turn it off. I mean, the quality of justice is going to be determined by the quality of the screen. And when the screen starts getting all fuzzy, you even stop looking at the screen. And when the sound gets a bit hazy and you're a bit tired, are you going to ask for it to be turned up? Are you going to ask, if you're on the jury, are you going to ask for it to stop until such time as it all gets, hell no. The judge will say, oh, you can hear it. Oh, you don't really need to see the person, you know they're there. And before you know it, even the defendant won't clearly have to be on a video. They'll be able to say, oh, well, he's actually in cell, but the TV is focused on where he would be if he wasn't in his cell. It's not justice. This is not about justice. And it shouldn't even be just about money. I mean, efficiency and all the rest of it, justice is not about models of industrial efficiency. Justice is about rights. And this bill is a scary piece of legislation. I would support, if ACT isn't ready to vote against this bill, I would support David Parker's recommendation that we do what? We report progress and have this stood down for weeks so that everybody, particularly national, can have a chance to have a really good think about this, have a deep breath and realise that this is something where I know Dr. Mapp doesn't even want to go here. Somebody mentioned the Attorney General. I happen to know that the Attorney General doesn't support this legislation. And if the Attorney General doesn't support it, why is it going ahead? Shouldn't we, Mr. Chairman, I just one final time say this is a scary piece of legislation. We spoke against it at first reading. We'll be speaking against it at every reading. I sincerely hope we all come to our senses on this and vote it down. Kia ora tātou.